I was doing some calculations on the fuel consumption in Highfleet, and I would like to share it with you. When I started out, I wanted to answer 4 questions. The first being, how much does fuel cost? The second is whether the fuel mass is calculated in the total ship mass for fuel consumption. Third question, how speed affects the fuel consumption. And the fourth, whether ships traveling together are more or less fuel efficient. So let's start. The first I checked, the Sevastopol total tank capacity has 24 times the large tank, 400, which is a total capacity of 9,600 tons. And the tank capacity at campaign start, how much it is in the tank, is 52%, which is 4,992 tons. Then the max capacity fill at the campaign start is what's left, more or less, 4,600 tons. Now for the prices. The base fuel location cost is 1 ton costs $1.32. That's any normal location that is not marked with the cheap fuel icon. Now on the cheap fuel cities, you're paying 0.76, which is about, I think, roughly 60% of the full price. So if you want to fill a Sevastopol for a full fuel tank, you pay about more than 12,000, and if you fill it from a cheap place, you pay about 7,296, which is about 5,000 less. Now the next question is whether fuel weight is calculated in the ship mass, and it is not. Because I tested it, I had a fuel tank of 50%, and I flew it at 500 kilometers. And the fuel consumption was the same whether it was 50% full tank or whether the fuel tank was 100% full. Then the next question was how speed affects fuel consumption. So first, I'll show you how to set your speed. Yeah, let's say you are, where's my ship? My ship is here. Giving it a movement order. I have to wait for it to actually take off. Okay, now it's at 8,000 cruising speed. And now I can use that lever to tell it how fast it should fly. You can see the speed is rising to 90. You can go down to center or even down to nothing. Then it's just hovering. Now, what I measured is interesting on the Sevastopol. The fuel spent for the Sevastopol for 500 kilometers flying at full speed is about 10% of the fuel capacity, which is 864 tons. And if you fly it at half speed, you actually use 18% fuel. 8% more fuel is used if you fly slower. However, to make it even weirder, it's actually different for smaller ships, as we're going to see further on. Now, the next question is, are ships traveling together more or less fuel efficient? First, I compiled the listed parameters. That's what you see in the ship menu when you repair the ship. The Sevastopol has a consumption of 1,700 something per thousand and a capacity of 9,600 tons. The Honey Badger MU, that's one of my smaller ships in my campaigns, if you have seen them. Fuel consumption is 380 tons per 1,000 and capacity of 400 tons. So the Sevastopol fuel consumption is 4.5 times higher than the Honey Badger MU. And its fuel capacity is 24 times higher than the Honey Badger MU. And now for the measured numbers. The Sevastopol flying on its own, without any other ships, for 500 kilometers using up 10% fuel, which is 960 tons. If I fly the Sevastopol with the Honey Badger MU at the Sevastopol's top speed, which is 90, then they're both together, the combined fuel tanks are using 10% each, together rather, which is 1,000 tons. So the Honey Badger is only using 40 tons extra fuel. Now if the Honey Badger flies on its own the same distance, it uses up 52% of its fuel tank, which is 208 tons. And it's also flying at 331 speed. So Honey Badger flying on its own is using about 5 times more fuel than if it would fly with the Sevastopol, which is somewhat odd. I'm not sure if it's related to the speed. However, as I mentioned above, if you measure the speed differences here, the Honey Badger MU flying at 90 speed, that's about 20% of its throttle, of the maximum throttle you can do in this ship, which is the Sevastopol speed 90. It uses about 50% fuel. Now for this ship, flying slower actually saves its fuel. And if it flies with a larger ship like Sevastopol, it saves even more fuel. I'm not sure if there's a bug in here or if it's intended like this. Over the numbers, yeah, something's off. And as the last number, I measured the distance to Khiva from the starting location, which is 19,921 kilometers. So this concludes this one. I hope it was useful, and thanks for watching.